All right, my name's Nat Pierce. This is Josh Pierce, who works for us. We're Pierce and Pierce. We cut out the McCoy. McCoy's gone.
He's watching this, by the way.
Oh, no. I am an attorney. I've been practicing in this area for about 7 years, primarily just corporate tax and transactional legal issues. And we've noticed some things. Like, I want to start with just sort of throwing out a big premise. Do we all agree that business in this 2015, businesses can grow exponentially faster than our parents' generation? I want to start that as kind of like a premise that I've realized when I talk to my parents about, starting a business. It's always like, well, you need to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And in my practice, I've seen that happen. So put yourself in the situation of, you start a company. Within 6 months, you're doing $1 million in annual revenue plus. You have private equity funds and venture capital groups looking at you guys. You get a $5 million valuation. The next day, you have a call with your investors' lawyers, and your investors' lawyer is me. And the first thing I do is I start going down this list of 1 million questions that I've got through these raising capital books. And I just start asking questions, what patents do you have? What are the numbers of the patents? What independent contractors have you hired? Blah, 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 blah. Just a long due diligence checklist. And one of the questions happens to be, who developed your app? Who is the person involved with it? Well, it was my brother or sister-in-law. Well, tell me a little bit more about that. Well, such and such helped me with it. They did it, because I know them. They're real smart with computers. They figured it all out. And now we've got this great app and 50 employees, and we're making all this money, and we're really excited about what your investors are going to invest in our company. Well, that's great, but tell me a little bit more about, what did they do to develop it? What's your relationship with them? Long story short, that company didn't own the app that they were created on. Not their fault. Everyone had good intentions going in, but the intentions got misplaced, and the private equity attorney, which was a 27-year-old attorney that really didn't know what he was doing, just asking a couple questions, went to the investment committee and said, yeah, don't put any money into that because they don't even own the technology that their whole company is based on. And you should probably go talk to this developer. Alternative situation, your typical cleaning company. They do a contract, or a restoration company. They go in, they have a contract. They've been using the same contract for years. They show up on the job. They give you a price quote. You sign the contract. They come in. They do the job. It's paid. The customer is supposed to pay it. They get one where the customer just doesn't pay, and they say, "Oh, I've got this contract. I'm going to be fine." They come to someone like me. They come to someone like Gabe or Josh or Julia or any of the attorneys at our firm. We look at the contract. We say, "Okay, you have a contract. We can sue on it. There's some issues that we see with it." Other guy gets an attorney. They say, "Oh, there's the Virginia Consumer Protection Act. Your contract's in violation of the Virginia Consumer Protection Act." You lose. And in the small business context and in the rapid growth context, what we've found in practicing strictly transactional law is that there's a massive problem with just companies that want to get, the everyday legal questions answered. They're just not getting answered. And I'll get into that a little bit with what our problem is. In Virginia alone, we've kind of gotten some data together on the number of businesses. Small Business Administration, there's actually 674,000 businesses in Virginia. The majority of which are obviously small businesses, which the SB identifies as non-employers. That means that they're really probably sole proprietorships or have one or two kind of independent cash paid employees. And there's 29,000 lawyers that are registered in the state of Virginia. Of that, our estimates and the best thing that we can get out of the state bar is about 2,000. There's 140 practice areas that the American Bar Association kind of recognizes. Of the 29,000 lawyers in the state of Virginia, about 2,000 are business attorneys. So that breaks down to about 300 to 1 ratio of your everyday business out on the street, small business, like, anything that you'd see on Granby Street, and a lawyer. And, I've been practicing 7 years. I can't service 300 people. It's 300 clients. It's impossible. It's, if there's technology and everything in email, but, if I have 50 emails that I get in a day, I get home at 6 o'clock, I've got my kids, a bunch of those emails aren't getting responded to. I think 50-1 is a probably more reasonable ratio of a business attorney to a business. But just think of yourself as a business owner being one of 50, and you're paying what you're paying, and you're one of 50. It's not something that you're overly excited about. So there's definitely a ratio problem amongst the attorneys. The problem that we also see breaks down to, three sort of areas. Price. Lawyers are expensive. Like, I'm not going to hide that. We think that our rates are really competitive, and I don't like giving people a small business a $3,000 bill, because I don't like when we get a $3,000 bill. It's, a headache. It keeps me up at night when our firm gets a $3,000 bill. So we recognize that lawyers are really expensive, but a lot of the alternatives that are out there, what I've seen is they're largely like self-help based. So you have your LegalZoom, your Rocket Lawyer, which it leaves a lot of the risk determination up to the entrepreneur, which really doesn't have much of a, it's a lot of times it's the first time they're doing it, and it's the first thing that they're ever doing, or it's referral based. I'm a Rocket Lawyer and LegalZoom referral attorney. What that means is I get 20 emails a week from LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer saying such and such has a legal question that they want you to answer for free, and can you talk to them? And free advice is about what the client pays for it. I'm not going to really give that much advice away for free, because I have malpractice insurance, which costs me a lot of money that my license rides on. And then entrepreneurs are faced with the issue of complexity. The premise that I started with, that business changes faster than we can really keep up with, than just a simple president or CEO of a company keep up with. A quick example, day one, you start a company, you're the only owner. The next day you hire a developer, you say, hey, I don't have the money to pay you. I'm going to give you equity in my company. Okay, your complexity just jumped from really not that complex, like, a single member LLC, you don't need an operating agreement or anything like that, but it just jumped. You're giving someone equity. All right, you better probably have an operating agreement. There might be some securities issues associated with you giving equity in exchange for services. There might also be, tax issues for the person who's receiving that equity associated with the services they're providing for the company. Third day, you have a capital infusion from someone. We have a meeting tomorrow of a company that pitched here a month ago that's getting $1 million capital infusion. All right. A year ago, these people probably weren't sure that would ever happen, but here they are. So complexity can ramp up really fast, and often entrepreneurs just think things are too complex. It's either overwhelming, or they just, like that first company that I described, where they had their cousin do the app, they just ignore, any legal formality or anything. And what that results in is insane. Like, to us, we get clients that come to us, and they've taken insane risks that, we as lawyers would probably never take. So what we predict is probably the reality. And the Virginia State Bar is aware of this. They appointed a committee recently to sort of study the problems with the provision of legal services. A lot of it is related to, like, your legal aid, individuals that aren't receiving family issues. But what they're ignoring is all of the businesses in Virginia that really aren't accessing the legal services that they should be able to access, which what we're calling legal essentials, and that businesses should be able to have access to legal essentials in an affordable, easy way. We think it's roughly, a $300,000 business number within Virginia that is either meeting their legal needs elsewhere, like alternatives, where it's self-help or some referral thing, or coming to someone like us only in some sort of emergency when, it's 2 or 3 times the cost of what they would ordinarily pay if they just had easy access to answers, every single day. So what we've sort of started with our mission is to serve small businesses by providing them with legal essentials through our Briefcase platform. And it's not really anything incredibly new. Josh is going to talk a little bit about what it will consist of and what we plan on offering through that.
All right, so I'm Josh, and what we're basically proposing as a solution is we see that in America there's an entrepreneurial economy that's kind of growing, and we're a part of it right now. And 1004 is one of those movements, and we're kind of predicting that that's going to continue to grow. We see that in like heat maps across the country. There's incubators and startups that are growing all over the country. But these companies that are in these incubators don't have the capital. They don't have the ability to pay for the actual legal needs that they have. So we think that this attorney-driven web solution as a product is a great solution for us to be able to support that movement and help many more businesses, far greater than 50 or 100 that we think we can serve on an individual basis as attorneys, and synergize and maximize the technology to be able to help a lot more companies when they need it. So we see a disparity with the complexity and the cash that a small business or startup has, and that leads to expensive attorney fees. But we want to help companies grow to get to the place where they have more complex problems, they have bigger needs, but we're also able to offer solutions that we're happy to be able to do. A higher legal bill is more comfortable on our side and on our client side if we're helping, let's say, raise $10 million and our bill is $100,000. An entrepreneur would much rather pay that bill than $5,000 when they really don't know where their company is going to go. They're just spending all their extra time. They may be working full time. They're trying to make that decision if they can afford to jump full time into their business. And so this is one of the ways that we think that we can really help out. So there's 4 main elements that our product is going to have. Entity formation, which is up and running right now. Basically, we're able to help companies start. For $50, we'll form your company through our online platform. And we're operating right now in Virginia and in Delaware. And again, these are one of those questions that entrepreneurs have all the time. Should I open a company in Virginia? Should I open a company in Delaware? I read on Google that Delaware is the place to be. Well, those are the types of questions that we can help answer in an efficient manner. So we also offer phone and online entity consultations. So we offer those answers included in the $50 fee. We offer through the platform all of the other information that you need. So all the operating agreements, the contracts, the subscription agreements that you can need, those are all packaged within Briefcase's platform. And also we give you a entrepreneurial startup checklist. So this is just one document compiled that helps a new startup figure out what they need. And going online and searching on Google only gets you so far. You don't know which documents relate to which. And so our startup checklist gives you a full list of what you need and relates the different documents from one to another. Second is the Q&A. So we will have a online module, so you can just sign on either through the web app or your online, like just normal browser, type in a question, and we'll have a dedicated team of attorneys that are ready and willing and able to draft a unique but generic answer to your question. So it's not fully designed for all the different complexities for what you might have, but it is an answer that would answer your specific question in a either a short form question and answer format, or if it's a what we determine to be a more popular question, we'll actually draft an article that we'll fill out, and we'll do a full article, and we'll send that back to you. And that might even be a two-step process. Number one, we'll get you a question quickly within the next 24 to 48 hours. And maybe within a week, we'll have a full 2 or 3 page article that would explain and put a little more meat on the bones for that initial quick answer.
And I'll jump in with it. The big problem, the reason that we're excited about kind of offering this, and we've been working with the bar on some of the ethics rules related to attorney-client relationship, and how extensive the answers can be, is currently what LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer are doing is they're kicking those basic questions. And I've got some questions that companies will have. A competitor of mine has a competing product called Elite Guard Training. My product I'm releasing is Ultimate Guard Training. I'm sure this is fine, but I just want to make sure that I'm okay. It's like simple things like that that get kicked to me every day. And remember, I'm servicing my 50 people, and I've got my 50 people who pay me, $200 an hour to answer their questions. And I get this little question that, that's going to get kicked to the bottom of my list. And when I finally get to it, I'm not really going to be able to answer it. And if you look at, and Josh will tell you, because he's kind of a recent law school graduate, if you look at the job opportunities coming out for recent law school graduates and what they can actually do, there's not much out there for them. But answering a simple question like this that takes, for someone like me, 15 minutes of research, 10 minutes of research to do, or basically, my answer to this person was, you probably should do a trademark search. That's a simple question. You probably should do a trademark search. I know from experience, a trademark search could cost you this much. Go find an attorney that can do it, or, we're happy to refer you to someone that can do that. I'm starting an LLC with 3 other people. One lives in Oregon, one lives in Vermont, one lives in Virginia. Where should I file my LLC papers? That's a simple question that with a little bit of prodding, you can elicit a right answer. So that the whole Q&A platform is really designed to put attorneys that actually care about the briefcase client and connect them with that company. Because what's happening now with like Rocket Lawyer and LegalZoom is they're just kicking it out to the bottom of my list. So this is one aspect. Josh is there's 2 more aspects to it.
Yeah, so the second bullet here, and which will relate to one of the other features, is that we'll actually build out a list of answers within the Briefcase software. So every time you log in, your answers are building your own personal library, but any of the articles that we also draft will build out a universal library for anyone to be able to go into and do their own self-help quickly and be able to get those answers as well. So how that can also relate is that if you find one of our articles, then you can just fire off a quick question and say, how does this relate to me? And it also speeds up the time and it cuts down on costs for everybody. So this allows us to be able to draft one article and answer maybe 10 or 15 questions that relate to it, quickly helping each small business out. So legal documents. Obviously, everyone can get documents from all over the internet. A common practice is going on to Rocket Lawyer, signing up for a 14-day trial, pulling off all the documents that you can find that you think you might need, and just letting the trial expire. So number one, we're giving high-quality documents that we use. 90% of the document is basically what we would use for other clients that are paying for really nuanced documents. We'll whitewash them, basically make them vanilla, but for specific situations. We also will maintain these documents. So on a 6-month basis, our documents constantly evolve in the firm. So we're going to be continuing to update these and maintain these on the Briefcase site as well. Number 2, we'll be giving checklists and little packages that allow you to, again, figure out what documents you need, how they relate to each other, how do they relate to specific businesses. And we're going to also transform this into industry-specific packages. So let's say you're an Airbnb host. We'll have an Airbnb host package that gives you all of the documents that you need, a checklist for each one of them, all the things that you have to do to maintain your regulations, your compliance to be able to do that. And everything is in one package. Same for rental properties, other types of businesses. As the demand grows, we're going to create those niche products for those industries as well.
And then I'm going to talk about this one. When I started practicing 7 years ago, you walk into your typical legal office. And Zach's telling me to wrap up, which we're on our way to. He said the lawyers talk longer than normal, right? So we get 5 more minutes. No, I'm kidding. When I first started practicing, you walk to an office, and there's like this huge wall of all these books and everything that everyone apparently reads. But there's these things called Corpex books, and the Corpex books are these. Every single company that used to, historically had its own Corpex book in some lawyer's office somewhere, right? And in that Corpex book was literally almost every single material transaction that had ever affected that corporation. So you go to your Google, you go to your, cleaning service. Everyone had a Corpex book with email and DocuSign and all these things. All of that went away. So I've literally, this has happened multiple times, requested files from one firm. If a client wants to switch and work with us, we request the files from the other firm. We get, a USB stick. We get a hard file. We get this email thing that's in some ridiculous CD-ROM, application that I don't have a CD-ROM, so I don't know what to do with this thing. And it's like this amalgamation of all the history of this company. The idea of the old Corpex book is gone. So one of the things that we want to build into this is that if you're a Briefcase member, you're uploading or you're putting all of your documents, or if you say, I need to hire this independent contractor, you ask the attorney that, he says, this is the contract to use. He links it. You fill in what you need. You send it out to that independent contractor. We're going to have the software integrate with DocuSign, so they'll sign it electronically, and it'll just be stored automatically in your Briefcase and basically develop a history just like the old style Corpex books. So if any attorney ever needs to look at anything, he can just pull up your whole history and see everything that was ever there. And if we ever need to send it to, and I mean, my firm is not going to service all these clients. Other attorneys are going to service these clients as they grow. And if we ever need to send all the files, it'll be easy to just one file, one USB stick. Everything's there. Everything that we've ever touched with this company is there, all in one document. And it gives the company the ability to develop a history of legal issues that it's had and legal answers that it's received. We have clients that come back with repeat issues multiple times. And we'll be able to address those faster.
Just the last point on that too is most entrepreneurs have no idea where all their documents are. Like Nat said, they're in a number of different places. So when you need those documents are at high pressure times, right? You don't care until you care. You're either trying to raise money, so you need to get all of your due diligence information together for investors. You're getting sued. You're trying to enforce a contract. You're trying to, keep someone from copyrighting your website. You have to have all these documents in place. So the Briefcase will also have everything compiled, organized properly, so you can find it when you need it in those high pressure moments.
So real quick, cost. This is about what we're looking at. The entity formation thing we've been doing for a while. That $50 plus whatever the applicable state fees are. The business essentials will be billed at either a $50 a month recurring charge or an upfront $300 for the entire year. We're thinking that's pretty competitive. It beats out the Rocket Lawyer and LegalZoom offerings of what they currently are, and I think the service will be a lot better. How you can kind of engage with what we're doing. We are planning to launch a soft beta version to some people that have already said that they're in the middle of the summer, and then we'll be fully launched by hopefully late summer, fall. These are all our hashtags and everything. Lawyers are expensive. And what we really want to do is reach, I said there's 300,000 underserved or overcharged businesses in the state of Virginia. And I realize that makes me sound like I'm trying to make my profession obsolete, but I really think that there's some people in dire need of help and assistance that they're not getting. And I'm not saying it for myself. I'm saying it for all the 2,000 business attorneys who are just overworked and can't get things done. But we want to try to help. If we can help 100,000, someone else will do something similar that'll be able to help everyone else. So that's it. If you guys have questions, I think we should go to the next one, but we can answer whatever you guys have. Put us on the spot. Yeah, go.
So are y'all strictly just an entity attorney like firm, or do you also serve patents in like employment as well?
Unpack that a little bit. Do we serve patents?
Like, do you help people that are trying to look for patents as well, like trying to file for patents, or you're just strictly entities?
It's not strictly entities. I mean, a lot of questions, and the questions that I was reading are all questions that I received through Rocket Lawyer and that I've been answering. Most of them are trademark, business license, or entity choice
But
based.
do you help them file for patents?
Yeah, Pierce
Yeah,
McCoy offers.
our firm, we have a patent attorney that works for a firm.
Right.
The Briefcase is not going to file patents as a firm. What Briefcase will do is say, you need to apply for a provisional patent, you need to apply for a design patent, you need to apply for a utility patent, and it'll give the entrepreneur like an understanding. Okay, I don't need to pay $5,000 for a design patent with all these complex drawings and everything. I just need a provisional and to develop this idea a little bit more and go from there. It's really just what we're trying to do is provide the guidance at the appropriate times along that curve as a business starts and grows. So we're not going to be filing patents. I mean, maybe we'll add on a flat fee patent filing thing later on, but for just starting out, we're more just providing like.
You'll do my articles of incorporation.
Well, yeah, that's
for
easy.
X amount of dollars.
For $50.
You'll do my NDA for X amount of dollars.
Yes.
You can purchase a la carte legal services through Briefcase or hire Pierce McCoy for other needs that you have.
Oh, look at those upsells already.
But if you like with the NDA issue, you'll be able to add like the what we're seeing in the marketplace is, do you really need an NDA? If you do need an NDA, what are the terms of the NDA? Is there a time period that the NDA should apply for?
Sure, but let's just say I need an NDA and I know I need an NDA, right?
Right. How do you know you need it?
Well, because I'm going to go talk to someone in Charlotte about my business idea, and I don't want them stealing my business idea and going to market immediately.
But I just talked to all these people about my business idea, and I'm not worried about it, right? I don't have an NDA.
I wouldn't
any of
be
these people.
worried about it either because none of these people are lawyers.
Right. We got one lawyer. So what I'm
just
saying, yeah.
From my perspective, I'm trying to understand, I'm a customer, right?
Yeah.
I'm a prospect to you.
And what the question is the idea of Briefcase is you come to me with you come to me or you come to any person that would answer the question on behalf of Briefcase, which would be, any person that is a business attorney and has some experience in dealing with business issues. And you say, I'm going to Charlotte next weekend. I have this idea. It involves blah, blah, blah. And this is all completely confidential attorney-client relationship.
Sure.
Do I even need an NDA for this? And we say, yes, you do. You should probably cover this scope of activities with that NDA. Here's rough. And I think one of the aspects of it should be being honest with you about what the cost of that is. Because I think you're not going to call me up and say, hey, I'm going to Charlotte. Do I need this? You just think I need an NDA, or life catches up with you and you go down there without it. And then the bad part happens. And then you call up and say, hey, I went down there, I shared all these ideas. This person is doing this. This person has ultimate guard training and it's different now.
So really the cost is to answer all the questions. And then once we get to an answer, if the answer is, yes, you do need an NDA, then I have to pay for the NDA on top of what.
Because with a lot of these
there's two answers to that. Number one, there'll be an NDA through the documents.
Yeah.
So that's part of our value prop is that we drafted that NDA. If you go and Google one and find it on some site, you pull it off, you throw in a few things that you think you need, and then you send it to us. Well, now it's going to take us 4 hours just to dissect what that document is. If you pull our document off, we'll have a how-to checklist that goes along with that NDA, You fill it in, and then you kick it to us and say, hey, take half an hour, and we'll bill you for half an hour through Pierce McCoy, and that cuts down on your costs. It cuts down on the timeline and gives you a high quality document from day one.
See, now that makes a lot more sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or if it's
That's
really
the point.
complex, we'll just say, look, this situation is really complex. This needs a fully custom document. We can do that for X amount of dollars outside of Briefcase through the law firm.
So I have a question. You were saying, you know, if you have a question, you're sending it through Briefcase, and you know someone on the other end, either here's or whatever your firm's name, or it's someone else. Is it just your firm, or is it how are you working that manpower if you guys can't handle, you know, more than 50,
Right.
50 clients per person? How are you thinking?
It'll be a briefcase attorney. The Virginia State Bar, obviously, you can imagine, is really stringent about how the attorney-client relationship is established. So the briefcase terms of service are going to basically govern the extent to which the attorney-client relationship will apply. I mean, we're going to have clients there, but we're going to isolate the firm for specific instances because we have to do our own conflict checks and everything outside of the advice that a briefcase attorney could offer.
So is it something like sort of aggregate work where like other firms might have some members of their firm might be a part of the case?
Yeah, and I mean, for example, our patent attorney is licensed in Ohio. So if we decide to add Ohio as a license as a state in which we would offer the briefcase platform, he would do that through all his applicable bar rules.
So you guys would just contract with certain other attorneys' offices, and so how internally how do you work if someone has engaged with briefcase, they have a question, and one of the briefcase attorneys needs to answer it, and then it needs to go to an attorney's office. How does it disperse between your firm versus others' firms?
I think like Josh explained, like where it reaches a level of complexity where we're advising you need to go see other person, or you know what we want to eventually add into it is just a seamless process where it'll go the whole way.
So you don't really recommend going to this firm or that firm or any sort of references?
We're not going to connect you with another law firm, let's say
No,
California. or
Because
something.
the customer experience that you get now is you get kind of kicked out to someone that you don't know where they are. You know, I get people from New Jersey kicked out to me just because I happen to be licensed in New Jersey, and you know, my ability to service them probably isn't really that great.
See, I'm sort of thinking about something along the same lines, but in design, sort of architecture, design, construction industry. So that's sort of why my question is sort of.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
My question is more on the nuts and bolts side of this. I understand you want to have a collection of all of your clients sort of legal documents all in one place, easily searchable, so that you can go back and look at your kind of issues they've ever had. So how are you addressing, how are you storing it? It's not probably one of the most sensitive clusters of information anyone can have. How are you addressing the security?
I'm not probably the right person to ask that, but
Basically encrypted.
yeah,
Cloud
encrypted
storage.
And,
It's encrypted cloud storage that, you know, I think at this point that's all we really want to say about it. But it will have everyone segregated off. Each client has their own login. You know, I can't log in and see your information. You can't see mine, vice versa. And all that information will compile in its own column, in its own silo, if you will.
I'm assuming the articles that you were talking about, these.
Yeah, those articles go to two places. So they'll go to your individual Dropbox. Let's say questions asked in that folder. So you can go and find that folder. But then in the universal library, you can go on and do like a word search on the topics, keyword searches, and or we'll link it to you. So I might just, if I'm the one drafting the answer to your question, I'll link 3 articles and give you a document and say, here's what you need to do, here's how they relate together, and let us know if you have any other questions.
Great job.
Oh, one more thing. One more thing while we can do it because no one will do it. I want to thank Zach for, we came here 2 years ago or 3 years ago, kind of partnered up with Zach to start our firm. Now we're 5 people. We're moving down to the World Trade Center right here, right around the corner. And it's all because of the community that exists here through Hatch and what Zach's done with starting over at 1, 2, 3, 4, however many there's going to be. So, if you come out and there's 3 bad pitches or 1 bad pitch like ours, don't make that a reason not to keep coming. And Zach's the person. If you guys can fill Zach's lunch calendar for the next 6 months, I'll be really grateful because then I won't have to buy him lunch or drinks or everything else. All right? Thanks.
All right.